Hey everyone, today I saw an announcement from Cloudflare about a new product they're offering called Containers that is just got released or beta released today. And I thought it would be interesting to learn more about it and to try to get it up and running. So I do have a Cloudflare account, and the documentation in general with Cloudflare is pretty good. So I think I'm just gonna go through the docs and try to get something deployed, and maybe we'll learn something along the way. So in Cloudflare docs, we have containers in beta. So containers apparently are closely associated with Cloudflare workers, which is kind of like their serverless compute platform. One of the cool things that I find really intriguing with Cloudflare is that they have like a really massive footprint on the internet, and they actually are involved in a lot in a big chunk of internet traffic, and they have infrastructure around the world and the ability to um, serve your application from many different regions. And apparently, that's all abstracted away from you. So you get to leverage essentially like your application will be running in a place that will be close to the client. So hopefully you get like less latency. But anyways, leveraging their global infrastructure not only for containers but for workers as well as their other products that they offer. Container instances are spun up on demand and controlled by code you write in your worker. Instead of chaining together API calls or writing Kubernetes operators, you just write JavaScript. Okay. So I want to just like go through one of their examples here. So we have a worker code. So we're getting a container instance and then passing the request to the container instance. So what if I'm understanding this correctly, we'll have our worker that is running some service, and then if we need to hand off some work that needs to be done inside of a container, then we can kind of forward that request from the worker to a container and have it do the work. And then I don't know if the request goes back through the worker back to the requester, but I think that's the idea, is that you can define a container and then use that to do some type of compute. And the benefit is that like it says here, so you can like resource intensive applications. So if your worker is, a web server that needs to respond quickly, having resource intensive functionality within your worker could relate to more latency, slower response times. So in this way, you can kind of hand off the work to the container instead. Makes me wonder if there's any type of like queuing mechanism involved here. But also, sometimes you might run into a situation where you need a specific runtime or a Linux-like environment. So you can create a container and have some logic run within that. Or if you have existing applications that have been distributed as container images, because a lot of software running out there, like on Kubernetes, Docker is already containerized, so it would be easy to kind of port those over to Cloudflare containers. But let's go ahead and get started. So let's try this deploy your first container. Build and push an image, call a container from a worker, and understand scaling and routing. So let's go ahead and try this example. So I'll click deploy a container. So we're getting taken to this guide. I already have Docker running. So it looks like I'm going to run some npm command, and they have a starter template. Okay, so let's go ahead and just follow their instructions here. So I'm going to copy this command, and I'm going to go over to my IDE. This is just an empty directory right now, and I'll run this. Need to install that. All right, so it's asking which directory do you want to create your application. That's fine with me. I'll just press enter. So we have this Shy Snowflake directory that we can see here. I can see a Docker file is in here. And we're using a template from a GitHub repo. So that command that we entered, apparently this will gets translated to a GitHub repo. So we can just pop that open here. So I'm guessing that what we see here, like this Docker file, 23 lines, starts with Go 1.24. It's going to be the same thing we see here. So we've essentially just cloned that GitHub repo. This is going to be the template for our containers that the developers at Cloudflare wrote for us. Do you want to use Git for version control? Sure. Do you want to deploy your application? I don't know. Let's go back to the guide and see what's next. So we've ran this. When you want to deploy a code change to either the worker or container code, you can run the following command, wrangler deploy. When you run wrangler deploy, the following things happen. Wrangler builds your image using Docker, pushes the image to the container image registry that's automatically integrated with your Cloudflare account. Wrangler deploys your worker and configures Cloudflare's network to be ready to spawn instances of your container. So my question is, like, we have our container here, but what about our worker? I'm still curious about the worker because I thought you need a worker in order to deploy a container. Maybe this is the worker code, the source code. I'm going to go ahead and finish the interactive prompt here and deploy the application. So I'll just do yes. Pretty smooth. So if we go back here, I have authenticated. It looks like it's doing an upload. npx wrangler deploy. Error, missing entry point to worker script or to assets directory. Oh, do I need to do this? I need to do this within my directory, my container directory. Okay, same thing. Error, unauthorized, build, and maybe push. I think it's so unauthorized to perhaps push to the registry. It's line number 62,791. Okay, so this is where it's erroring out. So what happens here? What is this? So build and maybe push. This is where, this is the wrangler command that's failing. It does appear to be building the image successfully. I think it's probably going to be failing here. What is this? Credentials, get Cloudflare container registry. I'm going to see if we can do a... How do they do logging here? so I could debug. So this is a huge file. Sets up the logging. Okay, just logger.debug. Alright, so what line number was that? 62791. Okay, so we'll just do like a logger.debug. I'm just gonna print like a bunch of $sign or logger.debug. Let's try to get the image and then image tag and pushed, which will be false. What else can we print out here? It says available on workers paid plan. Am I not? Oh, I'm on the free plan. I guess that's the problem. Well, now I'm kind of tired of doing this for the moment and debating whether or not I sign up for a paid account just so I can finish making this video. And I'm not going to do that, so I'll just end this here. And I'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll explore this some more, or maybe not. But I don't know. If you actually watch this video, shout outs to you. But hope maybe it's helpful in some way. Sorry we couldn't get much done here. See you next time.